When you're building your own wardrobe, either if you're sewing it or buying new clothes, I always say that the first things you have to get are a few good basics that you could mix and match and play around so that you get tons of outfits out of just a few items of clothing. When you go shopping for fabric, people tend to look for more attractive fabrics, so more colors, more prints. So fabrics that are more noticeable that you're using. And when you sew that fabric into a garment, it can become a beautiful garment, but maybe it's a garment that you won't be able to use every day because it's more of a statement piece before a basic. And I always think that you should start with basics so you have a really big wardrobe. And honestly, I say that out of my personal experience because that happens to me all the time. So today we're going to be changing that. We're going to be looking for some inspiration, making a pattern, and sewing some basics for my wardrobe. I have a few ideas, but let's just see what I end up choosing. Another thing about good basics is going for colors that you really like and that you want to wear every day. It doesn't necessarily have to be black and white or neutral tones. You can go for a pop of color if you'd like, but just make sure they're colors that you actually wear, because if not, it'll just end up hung up in your closet and you won't wear it. So let's see what we can make. Welcome to Aiclo. Hi, my name is Fabiana. I'm really excited about this because I never tend to sew basics, so I really want to know what I'm able to make. So let's just get started. Okay, so I went through my inspiration and here are some outfits that I know will make great basics. As you can see, I went for black and white. I think those are colors that I can mix and match with absolutely everything in my closet. And it's a good start of making my closet feel bigger and having more options. I obviously want to make at least 2 pieces. I'm thinking a top and something for the bottom, maybe some pants or a skirt. I actually love the contrast of black and white in the same outfit, just like these 3. And even though I love all of them, I must say this one really caught my eye at first. I would change some things in the top. I normally don't wear turtlenecks at all, but so I would make a boat neckline. I think those look so sophisticated and elegant. I think it's a perfect hip length top. And even though I do like the sleeves, I don't know if this length is the best fit on me. Maybe I would shorten them and make them a little bit less tight. I don't know. I really love the skirts. I think we can leave it as it is. And if I'm not wrong, there's pretty similar patterns for this on Aiclo. So let's just see what we can make. So right now I'm on the Aiclo website, and this is the first thing you're going to see. If you have not heard of Aiclo, it's actually going to become your new best friend. It's an AI sewing assistant where you can create your own digital avatar and create made-to-measure patterns. There's tons of features, so definitely check it out. But let me just show you what I like to do. Sometimes when I need inspiration and I don't know exactly what I want to sew, I look for some ideas here in the inspiration library, and there's tons of ideas, you guys, and they are all with patterns from Aiclo. But since we already know what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to head into have an idea and just go ahead into direct editor access. Here you can see all of the pattern options you have, but since I am going to be making a t-shirt like item, I'm going to look for a pattern that works for me. I actually think the normal t-shirt pattern works. I could just modify the neckline once I print it, and I'm sure it'll be great. Okay, and this is immediately what you get. This is the avatar, but I am going to be using my own avatar, which I already created. It's here. It's with my own measurements, but you can create your own over here with your measurements. It's super easy and quick, but I'm just going to fit it to my avatar. This is how it looks. Obviously, we're going to be making a black top, so let me just change that. And as you can see, it's a little bit too loose for what I want in my inspiration. And I think the sleeves could be a little bit shorter, but I think it's best to just try it on and see how it looks on me and cut any excess if necessary, because I might like this length on me. And as you can see, the fit of this shirt right now is regular, but I want it to be slim. So let's go to the other side of the bar. Okay, now it's looking a lot more fitted, which is what I want. And we do want to close off the neckline a little bit more. Perfect. I think honestly the length and the fit looks really great. Here I can see the fit. So basically where it's going to be feel tighter, the red means tighter. The strain map and how the pattern will be looking right now. I actually think we can leave it this way, and I'll just modify the neckline once I print it out. Something I really love about Aiclo is that here you can see how much fabric you'll need for your pattern, and it just shows you how much fabric you need. So for this one, I would need 70 centimeters. You can also download a tech pack where you have some general information and steps on how to sew this garment, but I already have an idea of that. So I'm just going to save my project. And I'm going to download the pattern. I'm going to download it as a US letter format. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter, and the gap between patterns could be a little bit less, so we save a lot more paper. That looks fine, and we can just go ahead and download it. And here I have my pattern. It has the pattern layout and all of the pages you need to assemble together. Now we're going to move on to the skirt. So I'm going to look for a skirt that might work, and immediately I can tell these two are a good fit for what I want. And I think I'm going to choose this one with only one back dart instead of two like the other one. And this is how it looks on the avatar. But as you know, I select my own size in avatar and I can modify it however I'd like. This one does have a waistband, and I know that I'm not going to be using that panel because I'm just going to line the entire skirt. I'm modifying here the length to a mini skirt, and I'm looking at the different silhouettes that I can play around with. But honestly, I like the one that it had at the beginning, which is the straight one. And you could also change any measurements you'd like over here, but honestly, it looks pretty good. I'm not going to play around it because from my past experience, it always fits me really good as it is on the avatar. So I'm just going to save my project. And before I forget, I am also going to change the color so it matches my inspirations. As you know, it's going to be a white skirt, so you can already tell how it's going to look. And here I'm just seeing how much fabric I will need. And I'm just going to go ahead and download the pattern the same way as I did with the top. Okay, so let me show you the fabrics I chose for this project. For the skirt, I obviously went with the same white ivory type of color, and I made sure it wasn't a very see-through or light fabric because, as you can see on the inspiration, the skirt, even though it's not really stiff, it does have a little bit more structure. And honestly, I think I'm going to be lining it with the same fabric. I think I have enough, so let's see how it ends up looking. And for the top, I went for this fabric. I'm going to be putting the names of the fabric on the screen because honestly, I don't remember. It has a 4-way stretch. It's not too stretchy, but just enough. I think it looks quite similar to what the inspiration looks like. And hopefully it works perfectly with the pattern. Okay, so I already printed out and assembled my skirt panel. I have the front and the back. They're both cotton fold, and we also get a waistband panel, but I'm not going to be using that because I want to fully line it, and I actually don't want a waistband. Or I'm thinking that I could also add a facing to the waist. Let's see what works best. Okay, so I'm all set up to start sewing, and as I said, this skirt is pretty simple. I'm just going to sew the darts, add the invisible zipper to the main panels, and then attach the lining to the main panel, and that's basically it. And then after that, I'll just hem it. So it's pretty quick. Let's see how much time it takes me. Now I'm going to attach an invisible zipper. This one's 20 centimeters. I want it to be on the left, so I'm grabbing my front panel and I'm going towards the left side, and that's where I'm going to place it. So I just wanted to let you know that Aiclo actually has 40% off all current plans, and you can stack code SEW20 on top of it, which means you'll get 60% off any plans right now. This is not forever, so if you want to try it out, please do. And you can actually try the first 2 pattern downloads for free, so make sure to check it out. I promise you, you will not regret it. I'm going to work right away on the hem of the main panel just because it's easier right now to press it in place. Then I'm going to fold it once more, but about 2.5 centimeters. Yeah, like 2.5 centimeters. Okay, so I just hemmed the skirt and it's completely ready, and just look how cute it looks. I love the quality of this fabric. It looks exactly as it does on the avatar, and it looks exactly as my inspiration. I already tried it on and it fits me perfectly. As always, every pattern on Aiclo, as soon as I see it on the avatar, I know it's going to fit me that way, but I'm not going to show you how it looks until I have the finished look. So let's move on to the top. It's super easy to make, so yeah, let's do that. I've also finished assembling the pattern for the top. I have my back, my front, my sleeve, and I also have a welt for the neckline. But as you know, we are going to be modifying the neckline a little bit, so I don't think I'll be using that. Instead, I'll be cutting out a facing that matches the rest of the neckline. Something you need to know about Aiclo is obviously you don't have to use the exact same pattern you print out. You can make some modifications yourself, and that's what I'm going to be showing you for this top. I have a pretty basic round neckline and I wanted to change it for a more of a boat neckline look. I know the inspiration is a turtleneck, but honestly, I never wear turtlenecks. And as I was saying at the start of the video, I don't want it to just stay in my closet without me wearing it. So I am going to modify the neckline. We're just going to come over to the back and the front, and we're going to start with the front. I'm just going to redraw the neckline. As you know, this top lays over here on my neck, so I'm just going to move it a little bit so it starts from here and then continues as normal up to here. I'm measuring 5 centimeters and I'm going to redraw that neckline. So basically we're going to be cutting off this excess that we have over here, and now something really important is that both shoulders should measure the same. So I'm going to measure from here up to the new line to see how much it measures. Okay, so it's 6 centimeters, and that's what this shoulder line should measure as well. Here's a close-up. This is my front panel. I measured the 5 centimeters and drew the new line. And then, as we know, this shoulder measures 6 centimeters. So I measured that over here and redrew the line. Okay, so I have the front, the back, and each with their corresponding facing. And what we're going to do is line the neckline of the main panel with the facing. And I'm going to stitch this in place. Okay, so something you might not know is that when you're sewing stretch fabric, you usually don't go for a straight stitch on your machine, but you go for a zigzag stitch. It just fits better once you try it on because it stretches with the seam and the fabric. Okay, so I stitched the facing as I told you, and then I flipped the facing upwards and so did the seam, and I top stitched the seam. Now I just have to press it, but look how nice it's looking already. You can see the boat neck that I was talking about. This is exactly the shape that I was going for. I'm just going to press the facing towards the back side of the fabric. I am noticing that this fabric does not fray at all, so I won't be finishing off the raw edges. Okay, so here I have the back panel and I have my front panel, and the next thing I'm going to do is sew the shoulders. So I'm going to open the facing back up and I'm going to line the seams together. And I'm going to stitch this. So I went to press the seams and look how pretty it's looking. It already has the shape exactly as I wanted it, so I'm pretty excited about that. Next, we're going to attach the sleeves, and then we're going to close the sides of the sleeves at the same time as we're closing the sides of the top. Okay, so I opened up the top. Here I have my armhole, and the side where we have one notch is the front and the other one's the back. And we have the same notches on the sleeves, so we know which is which. So we're going to face them right sides together. So this one's going to be this one. I'm going to start aligning the notches and pinning it all the way on the armhole. I'm going to stitch it together, and I'll do the same for the other side. And here's how it's looking right now. As you can see, I have the sleeves practically almost ready, but we have to sew them on the sides as well as the sides of the shirt. So I'm just going to line the notches and stitch this together. And after that, what's left is hemming both the sleeves and the shirt, so it's really easy. Okay, so this is how the outfit turned out. I'm so shocked. It's literally what I had in my head and exactly what I wanted with the inspiration I had. So let's break it down. Let's start with the skirt. I think I've never owned a skirt that fit me so good and so comfortably at the same time. As you know, I did not use a waistband for the skirt, so it is a little bit more low rise than if I were to use the waistband, but I just love this mid-length. And as you know, for the side, I added an invisible zipper, and it looks so good. I did not modify a single thing from the pattern other than that. And as always, exactly how it looks on the avatar is how it looks on me. Fabric is exactly the same as the one in my inspiration, so if you have any inspiration, you can clearly make it with some patterns in Aiclo. Next, we have the top. I absolutely love how the neckline turned out. As you know, this neckline was a little bit more closed off, or like closer to the neck, and I widened it up so it looks like a boat neck, and I absolutely love it. I think it's so elegant, and as you might have seen, it took literally like 10 seconds, so you can really pattern hack patterns super quick. I love the mini sleeve length. You know that inspiration did have like a sleeve that went up to here, but I just love this look on me. It fits me so perfectly. This is obviously a stretchy fabric, so it is a pattern for a stretch fabric, and the length is also perfect. I think this is one of those outfits that I can clearly call it a win. I'm definitely going to see what else I can create from my inspiration board with patterns in Aiclo. What do you guys think?